Hey guys, Rick at Healing Field Farm. Today let's talk about why homesteads fail, because a lot of people have this dream and a lot of people pursue this dream, and then within a year or two they're upside down in debt and they have a failing homestead. So, and there's a lot of reasons, and it's not normally just one reason that a homestead will fail. It's normally a combination. And a lot of it is just mindset and having the right mindset going in and maintaining that mindset. So the first point I'm going to bring up is work ethic. If you don't have a good work ethic, if you don't get up early and stay up late, and you're not putting in the time or don't want to put in the time, then that's not the lifestyle for you, and your homestead will fail, because you have responsibilities on a homestead, and you need to meet those responsibilities on a daily basis, on an hourly basis. So you have to have a good work ethic. You just have to hit the day running and be ready to go. Another reason is bad soil. And I'll give you an example here. Our field, about 6 to 8 years ago, was stripped of all the topsoil. And underneath is really just a lot of ledge and clay and stuff like that. So we are going to use a permaculture approach to rebuild that soil and to get the nutrients in it. We did a little raised bed last year, and we took soil from 2 spots. One just the main field, and some from where an old barn was that they did a controlled burn on years ago. And that area has just been composting with the charred wood and stuff like that. So the stuff that we grew out of the dirt where the barn was grew great. We got plenty of vegetables, really nice looking plants. But the soil that we raised or used from the field, those plants just didn't grow. They just maintained and didn't really produce anything. So you have to have a really good soil. And you have to do your research, because you need to know how to build that good soil. You can bring in manure and help rejuvenate it. Compost, you can mix in compost, and that will work in microorganisms, which will help produce better soil for you. You can grow cover crops, which will help with increased nitrogen and minerals in your soil. So those are the kind of things that you need to think about. Just because you have a nice lush looking field doesn't mean it's good soil underneath that grass, because it may not be. Our grass grows green and grows tall, but there's really not a lot of nutrient in that soil. So water, and this has to be your priority. If you're starting a homestead and maybe you're going off grid, you have to have a water source. You can't grow anything without water. Nothing will survive without it. So if that means putting in a well or coming up with a water storage solution, maybe catching water with rain, there's a lot of different options how you can get water, but that needs to be your number one priority, because if that isn't, then you've already failed. Okay. Finances. So if you're spending more than you have coming in, then you're failing. You really need to do a really good job of budgeting. You can't just throw money, every direction that you're going. You have to have a good solid plan on where the money's going, where the expenses are going, and it needs to be less than what you have coming in, because you don't want to start building debt. And that will just crush you, especially when it comes to the point where you need stuff to maintain, to feed the animals and stuff. And if you don't have that money, then those animals aren't going to get fed, and it's just going to be a bad deal. So you really got to have a good business plan, almost, of what your finances are, what you can spend a month on the homestead for gardening, for animals, stuff like that, so that you don't get above yourself and get yourself in some financial trouble. Poor planning, and this kind of goes into the budgeting thing. Obviously, that's part of it, but at the same time, a lot of people, they get the idea of homesteading and I'm going to put in fruit trees, I'm going to put in Christmas trees, I'm going to do a big garden, and I'm going to go get 40 chickens and 10 goats and all that, and it's too much. So you need to plan out what you want to start off with, bare minimum, and build your way up, and have backup plans. Maybe with the water solution, maybe you plan on putting in a well, but you don't have the finances. So maybe you were smart and you bought a couple storage containers, and you can store water in there until you can afford that stuff. So definitely have some backup plans in case things go south and don't work out the way you want, because that does tend to happen. It could be as simple as just having a little extra money in case something breaks. That's a good backup plan. So maybe your chainsaw broke or your sawmill broke. Have a little money so that you can keep things going the way they need to. And plan out what you need versus what you want. So plan out the garden that you're gonna need right off, and then grow it a little bit bigger year by year. So, and just really stick to those plans, and that's the best way to grow. Because if you're all over the place and throwing money at all these different projects, it's just a bad way to go. So you take on too much at once, and that's like we were just talking with planning, with the buying all the trees and the vegetables and the animals. Do what you can handle, and then build from there. Okay. Taxes. So a lot of people buy land, they get a good deal, they'll buy 30, 40 acres, got a great price, but they don't think of what the taxes are going to be. And I'll give you some examples. So we bought this place, our tax bill was like $130 something last year. Okay. And that was taxed on no structures on the property. And this year, we have the house, we have a shed, hopefully we'll get a barn put in this year. So our taxes aren't high where we are, but I know other people who have a house, have some land, and they're paying $3,000-4,000 a year in taxes, and that's ridiculous. So be aware of what your tax rate is in your towns or cities, and make sure that that's an affordable expense, because that can easily crush you. Especially if you're week to week or month to month, and then bam, you get slammed with a couple $1,000 tax bill that you really weren't planning about. So be aware and do your research on that. Another reason is just being a couch potato. Life's distractions pulls you away. TV, social media, cell phones, even YouTube, Facebook, all that stuff, it pulls you away. And I'm not saying some of it's not good for you, because it is. It's nothing to maybe get a cup of coffee and watch the morning news, or maybe watch an hour of TV at night, or spend a little time in the morning on the computer doing what you need to do. But don't make it a daily, hourly distraction from what you need to get done, because your focus needs to be on your homestead, not on Maury Povich or whatever is on TV that day. So my best advice here is build yourself a solid structure of your day. Maybe you get up at 5, you go check on the animals, you come back in, you have a coffee, you watch a half an hour of TV, have a little breakfast, and then you get going on your chores. And then lunch, you come in, you get some afternoon projects to do. Evening, you take care of your animals one last time, and then you come in, you have dinner, and you maybe set an hour aside for planning, and then you watch a little TV. But if you're thinking you're going to homestead and you're just going to sit there and watch TV all day and be on the computer, that's not homesteading. That's just wasting your time and resources, really, because you're the homestead's biggest resource. So Another reason is lack of knowledge. And a lot of people have this idea that this is what they want to do, but they don't know where to go about it. And they watch YouTube stuff and read books and, watch documentaries and stuff like that. But really, unless you've done it or you're doing it, you're not really going to learn just by watching stuff. So, they are great tools. Facebook pages full of knowledge, YouTube channels. You can look up documentaries on Amazon Prime or Netflix, stuff like that, and you can learn a lot. But really, the best way to learn is to get out there and do it yourself. So you got to have some knowledge of growing. You got to have knowledge of canning if you're going to save your bounty. You got to know about raising the animals. You need to know what you need to know for chickens. What do you need to know for goats? What do you need to know for cows? And you got to have some basic building skills. I'm not saying you need the skills to build a $200,000 house, because you don't, but you need to be able to build structures that are sound and they're not going to collapse. You got to have some knowledge about putting in fences and stuff like that. And a lot of stuff you can get on social media type sites and learn how to do that. And I've watched plenty to learn how to figure out some stuff, but too much of it is the problem. But you just have to have that knowledge. And if you don't know, don't be afraid to ask, because the homesteading community is really great and they're always willing to help and share their knowledge. You can check out colleges. A lot of them do free seminars. They do a lot of online shows right now where they're teaching permaculture and stuff like that. And visit farms, talk to the farmers, see what lessons they can teach you. So, and really just get a good understanding of what you want to accomplish before you set out to do it. Okay. Burnout is another reason. You have to give yourself a little you time. You cannot just be nose to the grindstone 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can't. You have to give yourself some time, whether it be a walk in the woods or a couple hours fishing during the week or anything. Just give yourself some downtime, because your body needs it, your mind needs it. And if all you're focusing on is your homestead, you're not going in the right direction, because you have to have a healthy mind. And if you don't have that, your body will start breaking down and you're not going to be able to keep up with things. So really just give yourself some time to breathe, to take a couple hours for yourself every now and then. Maybe it's just a drive to the store or drive to town, get yourself a cup of coffee, sit by the lake, just watch the water, relax. Just take some time for yourself. And then another reason is a bad support system. So it will take all of you as a family to run a successful homestead. So, if this is your dream and maybe your spouse isn't on board, that's a struggle. And you really need to be all on the same page. You really need to want the same thing. You get your kids involved, get them to see the reasons why, and they'll want to help you. But if you don't have a good support system and you're trying to do everything on your own and everybody else is maybe sitting in the house watching TV, letting you do all the work, that's just no way to be. And it really needs to be a team effort. You guys need to come together, and maybe you guys have different strengths. Maybe she's great with animals, but you're great with gardening. Okay, well, then you focus on the garden, she focuses on the animals. So build off your strengths, but definitely come together, build a strong support system, family, friends, community, all that, because you're really, really going to need it. And then the last reason, I'm going to say doubting yourself, okay? And people, they get in a mindset that they don't know what they're doing. They don't know where to start. So my answer to that is do some research and start that way. And then try it, because you're never going to know unless you try. And if you just think, well, I can't do that, I don't know what I'm doing, well, then you've already failed. and then homesteading is definitely not for you. So you have to be willing to get your hands dirty. You have to be willing to take that leap of faith in trying to do these things that you've never done before. Maybe it's, you know, butchering chickens. Maybe you've never done it. Maybe you're a little nervous about doing it. But you're never going to know unless you do it. And once you do, and you show yourself that, hey, I can do this, well, then you're really, really on your way to running a successful homestead. So, hey guys, thanks for watching. Hope this has been helpful, and hope this has not turned anyone away from homesteading, because it really is a great life. But these are the reasons that most homesteads fail, and I'd like everybody to, you know, be successful. So thanks for watching again, guys. Have a good day.